The Uganda shilling has lost ground against the dollar, currently threatening to hit the 3,000 shillings mark. This, according to economists, has far-reaching effects, but that we'll explore a little later. This is Money Matters. Coming up, the shilling's woes, the impact on the economy, self-employment and the dividends attached, plus tips on how to utilize the virtual world to make money. In View from the Top this week, we catch up with the new Kenya Airways Group Managing Director, Mbuvi Ngunze, who shares with us the plans he has for the airline and where Uganda fits in the company's broad vision.
Now, for starters, just give us a brief. What's happening at Kenya Airways at the moment?
So I would like to say that we're in exciting times. We're in exciting times because we're in a period of transformation. We are in a major fleet modernization phase, which has been happening over the last 2 years. So I'm taking over at a time when we probably now today have one of the youngest fleets in Africa. We have 6 brand new 787 aircraft, some which have been flying actually into Entebbe recently. We have the 777-300, which is a large aircraft, 400-seater, latest Modcons on board. We have the Embraer aircraft, which we have acquired over the last 2 years. So big changes.
Now, let's look at the realities in the market at this point in time when you're expanding. I mean, we're seeing a couple of challenges here and there. Of course, you had the travel warnings, especially from the key markets where we get a number of travelers into the region. And then, of course, there's this terrorism thing hovering over the entire region. Of course, there was Ebola the other day. How have you been able to circumvent all these challenges to actually proceed with that particular expansion plan?
I would say firstly that our industry is a cyclical industry. So everywhere in the world there will be something happening in a cycle. Today it will be terrorism, tomorrow it will be H1N, the next day it will be Ebola. So it's not unusual that we have such cycles. Travel advisories definitely have had a big impact on us. We have seen a reduction in volumes, particularly out of Europe because of travel advisories. So for me, the important thing is really to work with government first to make sure that they understand the impact of advisories and security on our business.
Now, you've come in at a time when, Kenya Airways seemed to be, was going through some, kind of turbulence. I mean, 2013 was a fairly tough year, which again spilled into 2014. What kind of assurance can you give the investors that, you'll be able to turn this thing around under the circumstances?
So the turbulence you mentioned and the financial turbulence that we are
Yes.
in, we're in a difficult space, obviously.
Yes.
But I'm optimistic because you see, as long as we secure our security situation, particularly, tourism numbers rebound very quickly based on if security is good. And we are traditionally a very strong carrier of tourism flows into the region. So that gives me comfort because I can see that there's a lot of effort being made. And it's not only about the Kenyan government or Ugandan government, it's even broader than that. So that gives me assurance. I think the other thing that gives me confidence is that the modernization of the fleet, because that is an important part to really increase our competitiveness. So all I'm asking for right now is patience. We are working on managing the financial hurdle we are in. It's a difficult place, but there's optimism because those things are I can see that the fundamentals are in place.
Yeah, that's good. Now, for Ugandans, a number of Ugandan travelers, especially in Entebbe-Nairobi road, of course, the issue of price has been quite critical over the past 1 year, especially after the suspension of Air Uganda operations. The concern was, you moved and really pushed up prices on that particular route. I don't know, do you have any plans or hopes of really driving this back?
Maybe allow me to correct the impression that we actually moved up prices or changed prices.
Okay.
Actually, we have not changed prices in this market since January 2014. That was when the last price change was. So there has been no change in price. But in our industry, you work through what are called, when you're buying tickets, you have certain booking classes. It's not dissimilar when you walk into a hotel. But it would surprise you if I told you that actually from Uganda, the ticket price, 80% of the travelers from Entebbe to Nairobi book on the first 2 booking levels, the lowest 2 ticket prices. And that has not changed. And the trend, if I look at the statistics, and I was looking at this recently, has not changed over the last year. Even when Air Uganda stepped out of the market, what happened was there was a small increase because it also coincided with a peak period of travel, which is normal in July, August. But the trend has continued the same. So we have not actually changed prices. What happens is that if you don't book early, typically there will be those people who will be outliers who will end up booking at the higher booking classes because there's a certain base cost of actually operating. And then there will be the higher booking classes what allow us to actually recoup some of our cost. The second part of price, and which I think it's important to mention, is that in any price that is actually put there, minimum $100 is taxes. So if you look at a typical price today, the entry price is say $280 or $289. $100 is taxes. The balance is actually what goes to the company and to cover all the seat costs and other things. So, you know, we are constantly revisiting our operating costs to make sure that we are optimal, because we are conscious that in all markets that we operate, we are actually providing an effective and efficient price, because it's also a competitive space.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Yeah?
Mwangi. It's
Thank
really
you.
nice talking to you.
Cheers.
Uganda's shilling has depreciated by 14% over the past year, according to the central bank, trading at 2,900 shillings, on average from approximately 2,560 at the same time last year. In this edition of The Insight, we examine the impact of this state of affairs, the different sectors of the economy, and the interventions that can be used to mitigate the impact.
The local currency within the past year alone lost weight in its exchange to key units such as the dollar by up to 14%, according to the central bank.
The shilling has depreciated by about 14% against the dollar. As I said, this followed a sustained appreciation during 2013 and in the first early months of 2014.
This loss in value is now causing strong concern among the business community, who are fearing that beyond obvious rise in inflation, many of their members may incur bad loans.
Interest rates shouldn't affect the old loans. Number two, they have been boasting about the reserves. Their reserves are so huge, they can even mount a reserve of 6 months. Let them release some of these reserves on the market.
We pay our suppliers mainly in US dollars and Kenya shillings, sometimes in the pounds as well. And the high volatility of the dollar against the Uganda shilling affects our net return on investment. It causes us sometimes exchange losses, because we are not going to be seen changing prices every other day in order to counter the high volatility.
More challenging is the fact that rental payments, particularly on commercial premises, are also on the rise, further widening overheads incurred by business owners.
This is a choice mostly of the financial sourcing. Some people source money which are dollar denominated, and others source in local currency. So normally when you're going to pay back, usually it's better to match your sourcing rate with the payment rate, and therefore you offset what we call the exchange rate risks. But we see a lot of dollar rates denominated prices in property on commercial properties.
The ripple effects of a weaker shilling is also stiffening both fuel and electricity energy costs that have since moved northwards.
You had a 300 in currency depreciation. You had a 50% new introduction tax since July, and you had a 250 price movement downwards. Put those together, that is actually round about what you should see at the pump price. Okay? But however, the remaining 300 or 350 is not in my control or anybody else's control.
Most consumers in this country are price sensitive. They're not willing to pay that extra amount as a result of the increases in tariffs. So we said, one, you could do hedging, where licensees in the energy sector work with local and international financial institutions to create some kind of hedge fund to smoothen any impacts that would come from rises in any increases in inflation, any adverse changes in the foreign exchange, or abrupt increases in fuel costs.
Maria Chiwanuka, the Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, last week spoke of a new strategy aimed at revamping the country's export drive and strengthening the shilling.
Going forward, we're intensifying on the export drive in order to enhance forex inflows, especially given that our project implementation is going to step up and is going to increase outflow of money spent to buy intermediate goods and investment machinery.
With a trade deficit of nearly $3 billion in favor of imports, the cost ratio of the shilling to the dollar is feared will remain a complex fight by economic planners.
The world is expected this year to transit from analog to digital broadcasting under the digital migration process. However, since most television sets cannot support digital broadcasting, owners will have to buy set-up boxes. Questions are now being raised on who is in charge of ensuring that the imported set-up boxes meet the right standards.
Come June 2015, if you don't have a digital television or a converter, also known as a set-top box, you will not be able to watch your favorite local TV channels. Because then, this thing called digital migration will start to bite in earnest. Since most Ugandans have older analog TV sets, they will need a digital converter or set-top box to help them watch digital TV without buying a new TV set.
They are free-to-air set-top boxes. They are pay TV set-top boxes. The ordinary Ugandan may not even know the difference, might not even care initially. Because of that, there will be many counterfeits.
Let's deal with this gadget called a set-top box first. What should you look out for, and what should you know?
I know viewers may be wondering, what does a set-top box look like, the size, the color, and set-top boxes come in a variety of colors, in a variety of sizes, and this is just one sample of such a set-top box.
The generic term really is set-top box, but in other terms it is a decoder because it decodes a signal. In our case, this is the StarTimes DVB T2 decoder. It's the one that we use with our digital terrestrial transmission service.
The specs we have are minimum, the basic minimum specifications. These specifications are designed to make sure that the set-top box meets the Uganda standard of DVB-T2 and the compression, picture compression of MPEG-4, the minimum specification. It must be meeting, of course, the current, the power used in Uganda. It has to meet the fact that some people are using solar and others battery. So we have those minimum specifications that are prescribed. We are requiring that all set-top boxes that have been type approved by UCC carry a type approval mark. Now, if I may just want to show, this mark looks like this. It has the UCC logo in it. It has the word approved and a tick. This is the mark that has to appear on every set-top box that has been type approved by UCC. The price range ranges from about 120 to up to 200,000. UCC is not regulating on price. We don't regulate on price. What the Commission has done to intervene on price are two measures. One is to type approve as many importers as possible. When you have many people bringing in the product, that is the set-top box, the competition basically is able to push down the price.
Easy access to the internet to majority of Ugandans has prompted the emergence of e-commerce business startups. What this means now is consumers can browse through a couple of websites to find products and services at one go. Exactly how to make money on this virtual platform is the focus of our Make Money segment this week. The internet or online presence is not just a way to communicate, but actually a way to make money. However, like any other money-making venture, there must be intent.
Once you have the interest and you can generate the content, then you must create what we call an account. So entities like Google have what they call AdSense. So you create an AdSense account, which then allows Google to run ads onto your content. Now, when Google runs ads onto your content, you make money from people clicking through your ads. So in other words, I've come to see your blog post or your YouTube video, and I see an ad and click onto that ad. So your content has enabled me to go into and then make money as a company. So Google is already making money from advertising, but they're sharing with you because you have allowed your users now to be able to see and click through the content.
With few Ugandans using online services such as banking and shopping, it's paramount that one knows the right target market group.
Who do you want to talk to? Are they young people? Are they old people? Are they CEOs? So where do I find them? And how do they search or look for content? And then when I'm presenting the content, I know who I'm looking for, but I've also defined it in that way that when they search, let's say when you go into Google and say interesting people in Uganda, that I will be among the top 10 searches. One, because people have been searching for me, and therefore the engines have gotten a feel and favor of who I am. And then two is because the content and my keywords are talking to each other. Those are critical.
And becoming an online earner requires a host of things, from posting blogs, items for sale, pictures and videos. But how do these translate into cash?
There are two things. Once I've hit a follower base that is critical, there are two things that potentially can happen. You have what you call content aggregators, or companies that really use, if you have the value, that will talk to you and say, okay, we see you have a following, we want to use you, and therefore we will push traffic through you, and you can make money through that. I know of Ugandans right now who have a huge following on Facebook and could be earning about 3 million shillings per month because a brand X will come and say, I want to associate with you. I think you have a big following, so mention me 3 times a week.
We now bring you our week's entrepreneur. Sarah Awol used her love for art and the fact that she is actually good with her hands to start up a fashion and crafts business in Gulu. This is a story of passion and determination, all wrapped into one. And this week's entrepreneur, we look at how she has managed and is still managing to make it work.
An industrial and fine art degree holder, and having stayed at home for 2 years without employment, Sarah Awol decided to put her skill to use and start up a business from what she says was really a humble beginning.
It started really small because at that time I didn't have capital, but then fortunately my uncle came in and helped me, so we put up a small structure.
Awol, a resident of Gulu town, started her business with 600,000 Uganda shillings and has since then soldiered on, attracting a diverse clientele. She says in the painting business, it's critical to look beyond the local potential market.
Most people here don't appreciate it so much. So my customers for paintings are normally the white. So they're in the country at some period of time. And when they go, of course, it's a little low.
It's this seasonality of her line of business which made Awol diversify into other art and design related businesses for operational sustainability.
Most times we do much decor for weddings, like around December. Like around this time it's not much. I also design clothes for maids, changing dresses for Bagoles in their weddings, and of course all is seasonal.
Over time, her operations have grown, affording her confidence to hold fashion shows targeted at her community in Gulu. She believes that a combination of passion, commitment, and financial discipline have played a central role in helping her business grow to what it is today. Her journey, however, has not been free of challenges.
Most times, people look at this figure and they wonder, is this a human being? So it's really a challenge to bring them on board, to make them understand paintings. And then some of the materials we use, like the back cloth. Normally when I go to buy back cloth in Kampala, you know, they be like, Chitalo, Chitalo, you know, they think I've lost someone.
But how has she managed to ride the tide, considering that fashion and art is not just challenged by low local appreciation and seasonality, but also requires more pairs of hands to perfect?
Actually, I work with young people because I need to bring them up. There are so many sitting on that talent. So mainly I work with young people. They're about 4. I would not say I pay them salary since the business is seasonal. It depends on the kind of work you do. There's some percentage each of them get at the end of the work.
Today, this Makerere University student dreams of starting a bigger art gallery in Kampala, but is proud above all that she's her own boss.
It's really beneficial in that I'm able to sustain a living right now. I don't ask for money from anyone or from my parents. At least I'm able to support them in one way or the other.
Now this is the time when we look at the latest in the financial markets. That's it on Money Matters this week. My name is Malcolm Sime. And in case you need to get back to us, give us your views and comments, send us your text on 6565. Or you could also look for NTV Money Matters on Facebook. Till next week on Thursday, cheers.